Most moms don't realize the profound impact of their everyday love until a heartfelt letter from a daughter opens a window into the timeless power of motherhood. In this emotional episode of Driving Home the Faith, Dr. Jennifer Roback Morse goes on to share how she celebrates her daughter's touching tribute, revealing what truly matters to children: presence, love, and faith. You'll discover why the sacrifices of motherhood are often invisible or irreplaceable, and how these quiet moments forge lifelong bonds in a way no career achievement can match.
I'm Dr. Ken Craycraft. Thank you for listening to Driving Home the Faith on 740 or 910 a.m. With me now is Dr. Jennifer Roback Morse. She is a former Ivy League professor. She's an economist and the founder of the Ruth Institute, which is a global interfaith coalition that helps Christians defend the family and specifically motherhood, and to build a civilization of love. Her most recent book is The Sexual State: How Elite Ideologies Are Destroying Lives. Dr. Jennifer Roback Morse, welcome back to Driving Home the Faith.
Thanks for having me, Ken. It's always fun talking to you.
Well, it is, but I think I have the wrong guest today, because I think who I really should be talking to is Ann Morse Hurricanos. And I don't know if I said her last name correctly, but your daughter wrote a very beautiful piece in Theology of Home celebrating motherhood, but she took, as would be expected from one of your daughters, an interesting tack in describing the importance of motherhood and contrasting it with a different kind of motherhood, and legitimate, but she celebrates the kind of motherhood that she had with you. Tell us a little bit about this article, and I'll tell you what, if a child of mine ever wrote anything about me like this article, I would not be able to read it without a flood of tears.
I know. Yeah, she wrote this a couple of years ago, and you know how things are on Facebook and they come up in your memories and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, it's been coming up periodically, and a number of my friends saw it and said, we should really share this with people because it's making so many really lovely points. My daughter is now, so she wrote this a few years ago, and it was published at Theology of Home, which is Carrie Gress's site.
Yes,
and
she's been a guest on the show.
Yes. And so several years have passed since she wrote it. She is now, I don't think she was married when she wrote that. But she is now a mother. She has a 1-year-old baby, and so our mother-daughter relationship has now taken the next step where I'm getting to see her become a mother, which is very beautiful, very beautiful for me.
Yeah.
But her point of departure in the article was comparing herself with her best friend from high school. Her best friend from high school got married and was was the maid of honor at that. And literally the next day, she went off to graduate school. And so in the years that passed, Anne has a doctorate, and her friend now has 6 children. And her friend was saying, oh gosh, Anne, you're doing such great things and cool things. And am I depriving my kids of anything because I'm just a stay-at-home mom? And that's what prompted Anne to write this, and to say, my mom had a PhD, but that's not what was valuable about her motherhood. What was beautiful was that she was there. And so the article goes through just different ways in which I was there and which she remembered with some fondness and so on. And, so it, in part it was a tribute to me, but it was also meant to be a consolation to her friend, which of course I totally endorse, that being a stay-at-home mom is a beautiful vocation. It's a beautiful thing to do. And Ken, I never miss an opportunity to say this, especially if there are young women in earshot. Of all the things I've done in my life, being a mother was the best thing I've ever done. Those were the best years of my life when I was home, not teaching, not running the business. I was home with little kids underfoot. Those were the best years of my life. So I so want the young women to hear that. That whatever your plan is for yourself, don't miss out on motherhood.
Yeah.
And the university will be there later. The job market will be there later. Your law office will be there later. But your baby's only going to have 1 year to be a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
So
This is so beautiful, Jen. And one of the things that, and I've said this before to you, one of the things that I love about the Ruth Institute and the entire perspective that you take in your own personal work and the work of the Institute is about children. Yes, it's about same-sex marriage. Yes, it's about gender ideology and the family more generally and motherhood and fatherhood. But at the end of the day, what drives you and what seems to be your passion is the well-being of children and the care of children. And everything that you advocate, it seems to me, has that as its, as philosophers would say, its final cause, the taking care of children. And I read it, and then I read a passage like this from your daughter's essay. In short, as a child, it mattered to me that it's not even my daughter, and I'm having trouble reading it. It mattered to me that my mom was there, and that my family loved each other. This is not to minimize the benefits of having such an accomplished woman as my mother. This is simply to say that as a child, it was her accomplishments, that is, were secondary to the time and love my mom gave to me and my brother. And then it gets even better, because she goes on to say, among the many things my mom taught me, the most important was our Catholic faith. As I think about some of the prestige and respect my mom sacrificed so that she could better love me and my brother, I think of 1 Corinthians 13. If I understand all mysteries and have all knowledge, but have not love, I am nothing. Love never ends. Now, I do want to ask you, Jen, I didn't read that just to read it. I read it because there's a particular word here that I want to ask you about, because I think that you might disagree a little bit with this, or at least have a take on it. She says that you sacrificed for Anne and her brother, and of course you did. You did sacrifice a career in academia, and you were well on your way to superstardom. But I got a feeling that you really don't look at it as a sacrifice.
So it's a yes and no kind of thing, or a both and kind of a thing, you know?
We're Catholics, after all, both and.
That both and thing is always after us, isn't it? But yeah, I know exactly what she meant, you know, and she didn't mean sacrifice in the sense that I was suffering and carrying a cross every day, right? Yeah. She did not mean it in that way. And of course, I don't think of it in that way. But it is true that I made a very specific decision to abandon certain things, you know, and honestly, I have to admit that there are days when I go, you know, I never get invited to these conferences. Nobody's ever heard of me, you know. And then I think, like, you know, come on, get over it. Get over yourself. You took the better part. You know, I honestly think I took the better part. And in every life and every path that one can take, there are always going to be trade-offs. That's one thing they teach you in economic school, okay, is trade-offs.
Oh,
right?
Yes, yep, absolutely.
Right? And so I've never had a moment's serious doubt, Ken, that I took the better path, you know, what's the phrase? The better part. Yeah, that's what our Lord said about Mary in comparison with Martha. That I took the better part by staying home with the kids, you know, and baking them birthday cakes and taking them to the beach, and you know, and I always wanted to emphasize that to them, that I felt lucky to be with them, because I remember in the years that we had foster kids, we did foster care for 3 years in San Diego. And my husband, one summer said, you know, you should really take them down. We were part of Mission Bay Yacht Club. You should really take the kids down and have them take boat lessons. They have boat lessons down there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a 45-minute drive each way. Honey, you've got to be kidding. But I did it. I said, oh, okay, what the heck? It's only a few weeks or whatever, you know, I'll do it. And it was so fun. Ken, it was so fun. And, you know, my kids enjoyed it. The foster kids enjoyed it. It was an experience they would never have. And what I said that I really enjoyed, and this is the kind of thing, this is the kind of snark that Anne picked up on there in the article, that we would go buzzing down that high HOV lane, you know, because I had a car full of kids. I could just take that HOV lane, and everybody's jammed in traffic.
Right?
Right? Everybody's stuck in traffic. And I would say, hey, kids, you know why I get to drive fast? Because I have you. I get to go fast because I got you in the car. If I was going to a job, I'd be stuck in that traffic, you know. And they would laugh, and you know, it was just, yeah, it was. Those were great times. And by the way, the other thing I'll say about that is that in my life, in my mind, I look at that and go, this is another instance where listening to my husband was really a smart thing to do. You know, that he saw something there that I didn't see. And I said, what the heck? I'm going to, I can't say I was enthused about the idea at first, but every day that went by, I became convinced that he was right.
Yeah.
And so I would say that to the moms and the wives out there too, that give your husband credit. That is a way of honoring your husband. When your husband has a good idea, bless him for it. Thank him for it.
Well,
you know what I mean? We're so taught not to do that.
I do know what you mean, and I'm certainly not going to argue with that point. We might have points of disagreement, but we're on the same page on this one. Jen, we have to take a short break, and when we come back, what I want to do is take your concrete experience as a mom with your children, and then we want to broaden that a little bit to talk about some more general ideas, especially in the context of upcoming Mother's Day. We'll be back after this short break. It's 5:47.
If you're in the market to buy or sell your home or office, but want to use a realtor who supports your pro-life values, you can rest easy when you select a realtor from Real Estate for Life. They are a worldwide network of pro-life real estate agents who will help you buy or sell your property. And the best part is, they'll donate a portion of the sale to a charity, like the Ruth Institute, at no extra cost to you. Find your local pro-life realtor at realestateforlife.org. And remember, select the Ruth Institute as your charity of choice.
And I'm back with Dr. Jennifer Roback Morse. And I want to talk about Mother's Day, sort of expanding from what we've been talking about, Jen. And I know you posted something recently, I think today, about a Mother's Day message. And I want to ask you a question about that. But first of all, I want to point out recently the insufferable wife of the insufferable governor of a large Western state appeared on some TV show or whatever and called herself the first partner, not the wife of the governor, but the partner of the governor, the first. And she thought she was so enlightened and so progressive. Jen, what do we lose when we stop calling mothers mother and start calling them something else?
I can't imagine who you're talking about, Ken.
You escaped. You escaped that world.
You know what? I could see this coming with gay marriage, with the whole debate over gay marriage. You could see it coming, that we were going to lose all the gendered words. Mm-hmm. And so in many states, they immediately went and rewrote the family code and took out husband and wife, took out mother and father, replaced it with parent A, parent B, spouse A, spouse B, partner, that type of stuff.
Yeah,
so even
parent.
people who are not in a same-sex relationship are under the regime of gender-neutral language, And I think it's a huge loss. I think it's a downgrade of the human body. And honestly, Ken, I thought all along, at the beginning of the debates over gay marriage, I had an intuition about this. By the time it was over, I was 100% sure that part of the point of promoting gay marriage is to break down the idea of male and female as legitimate concepts.
Oh, I think that's exactly right. Yeah.
Right.
And if you think about the Obergefell decision, that's exactly how Kennedy approached it. That's exactly how he approached it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're a law guy, so but I don't know if you follow family law at all. Back in the day when I was debating, especially at law schools, because I was an approved speaker for the Federalist Society back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
and so the students would have me come on the campus and debate this topic, and so I ended up reading a lot of law school, family law stuff and so on. And it turns out, as far as I can tell, the whole field of family law has been colonized by the worst kind of radical feminists, who are promoting the idea of getting male and female out of the legal code, removing male and female as legitimate categories in social life as well as legal life. And some of those people also were advocating at that time what they called contract parenting, which really, really spooked me when I saw it. But basically, and gay marriage moved the ball down the court towards that goal too. That if 2 or 3 or 4 adults get together and decide this is the way we want to organize our parenting relationships, you should be able to create your own do-it-yourself contract, and that should be enforceable at law. And, the problems with that, you can imagine as somebody with law training, the kinds of things people are going to end up in court arguing over is...
yes, it's a mess. Yeah, a huge mess. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing that I saw, because I had been a foster parent, is that, this is exactly the kind of parenthood that foster kids have. Because I had what would you call it? I had the right to take care of the kids when they were at my house. There's probably a special word for that. But I did not have educational rights. Their mom still had to be consulted, Mm-hmm. Their mom or dad had to be consulted about medical care and so on. And so it was like the bundle of rights around caring for a child was parceled out between the bio parents, me, the social worker. There were all these people who somehow had to come together to meet the needs of this child. And it's like, this is a catastrophe. I mean, we do this because we have to under this circumstance. But to propose this in all seriousness as a model for every family in America, are you stinking kidding me?
Yeah.
It's like these people, and Ken, I'm so glad that you keep saying that we're about children, because the people who are advocating this type of stuff, I can't imagine they've ever actually encountered a real child, and been with them and had them grow up, over a period of time and seen how development unfolds and all this kind of stuff. Because it's like they have a fantasy about what childhood is.
Well, or if they have, I mean, we see the fruits of it, right? I mean, when celebrities stand up and say, I have 3 transgender kids and my sister has 4 everybody I know. Yeah, so we're seeing the fruit of it. So I think you're right. It does seem like, and many of them don't, of course. Many of the people who are making these laws and advancing these social policies are childless. But maybe that might be an exception to encouraging children. I'm joking, of course.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, the clock once again is the winner. As I like to say, gravity and time are undefeated, and time is once again upon us, Jen. But I look forward to talking to you next week. But in the meantime, have a very blessed Mother's Day. You're an inspiration to me and to mothers everywhere, and I'm really glad that we can have these weekly discussions, because I know that you are an inspiration to other mothers and to fathers as well, as we try to steer our way through this crazy world and maintain our Catholic identity. So God bless you, and happy Mother's Day, Jen.
Thank you so much, Ken, and happy Mother's Day to your wife and any other mothers in your family.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening and supporting the Ruth Institute. Please check out our YouTube channel, Ruth Out and About, where you'll find all interviews with the Ruth Institute.